the ability to transcend traditional ideas, rules, patterns, result relationships, and create meaningful new ideas. Okay? So meaningful ways to deliver the content you already know. What does meaningful mean? What does that mean when I say meaningful delivery of your content? What do you think of it? What do you think of that?
Purpose?
Yeah. What? Give the kids a reason for why they're learning it, right? Make it important to them. Engage them in the content that you're delivering. Okay, so what does that kind of creativity look like in your classroom? I want you to stop a minute and think. You have a card that you were given. It's all right. You were given a card when you came in. And so I want you to think about creativity in your classroom. What does it look like if you're an instructional assistant? You've got resources. You've been in the classroom enough to know. What does creativity look like in your classroom? And I want you to find somebody else in this room that has the same exact card as you. And I want you to talk to them about it. Okay? You're going to get up and completely, don't worry about those. Leave those down there. Anything, any little costume, any little change in your room, lay an artificial turf, write on Frisbees, write on your desk. Anything to change it up for kids. That engages them. That immediately has their attention and focus. Okay, so even the little bitty tiny things. Even when you dress up like Vanilla Ice, that's a thing. You know, that's fun. That was super fun. That's my favorite song, though. So it's kind of like, just kind of fun for me. It's just about delivering your content in an engaging way to your kids, because you guys are already masters of the content, so you don't have to worry about that. But here's a few little examples of some of our friends in this room that have engaged kids by using just costumes. Like Samantha, for example, stuck a beard and a hat on with her suit. You know, there's nothing to that. But when they're talking about a closed reading passage that has to do with Abraham Lincoln, are they more engaged with that? Yes. Absolutely they are. Absolutely. And they don't care if you make a fool of yourself. They don't care. They love that. The sillier you are and the crazier you are, the better. They're super excited when you're excited. That was Disney Day. That was one of the best outfits I've ever seen. It was fantastic. And so, I mean, you can bring in anything. What you'll learn when you read this book is you pick the theme and then you fit the content to the theme. I know it sounds backwards. You think of it differently. You think, oh, I've got to find a theme to go with that content. No, you pick the theme and make your content match it. It's easier that way. Okay, so some of you are thinking, I don't do room transformations, I don't do costumes, I don't sing, I don't write music, it's not really my thing. Like, I don't really do that. But I'm going to encourage you just to start with something very, very small, okay? This upcoming year, the reason why we're doing it this time of the year, and I asked Ginger, I said, when can we do this? And she said, well, you want to do it the first of the year? I said, I think I want to do it before the end of the year so they can be thinking all summer long about how to implement this into the class. And so I want you to think about next year when you guys are planning, when you're thinking about what you're going to do differently next year. Think about starting with something really small. Maybe eat lunch with your kids. Once a month, once a week if you're real brave, if they're not on your nerves. Eat lunch with them. Find out what they're into. See, that's the thing. You've got to find out what's driving them. Stacy has a friend that comes every single day down to her office, talks and chats about whatever he wants to talk about. It's kind of his decompressed time. And it is the ramblings of you would not believe. I mean, you just wouldn't believe what goes on in the class, in that room. And I'm just like, my head is spinning. Like he's talking. And it's Minecraft and all of these things that are going on, and Fortnite and just all the things, and I don't even know what they are. So, like, Stacy was talking to him one day, and I said, do you even know what he's talking about? She's like, no, but I'm Googling it because I want to find out what he's talking about so I can talk to him. And that's what we have to do. You know what I mean? When we don't know what Fortnite is, we got to find out what it is. Because then, if we can talk to them, bring it in to what they are into, then they're super engaged with you, you know? So we've got to know what they want to do. Costumes are something real easy. I think that's really easy. You may feel silly in a costume. It doesn't matter whether you feel silly or not. It does not make any difference whether you feel silly because they think you're amazing. You put a costume on, they think you're amazing. Okay? So don't be worried about that. Some simple things are like just hand motions for your vocabulary words, things like that. something simple. I want you to think about something simple for next year that you can do to really start this process of really engaging your kids. When you're comfortable, you're no longer growing.
That really is big in the me.
Mm-hmm.
That last little sentence.
Yeah. When you're comfortable, you're not growing. If you're like, hey, I know what I'm doing. You're not moving. You're not growing. You're not doing anything new. Okay. So a smile. That's one of the simplest things that you people can do. Is smile. It changes everything when you smile. Okay, your kids suddenly are with you. They don't want to come into a sourpuss face. They want to come into a smile. They don't care whether you're silly or not. Smiling is one of the biggest things that you can do. So awareness of yourself. So this is the time when I want you to think about yourself. I want you to think about you, assessing where you are. There's 2 questions I want you to answer. If your students did not have to come to your classroom, would they? If they didn't have to show up, and they didn't have to sit in your class all day long and learn something, would they be there? I can tell you right now, there's lots of times when I was teaching that they wouldn't have been there. They wouldn't have wanted to be. So I think we have to think about that. And do you have any lessons that you think Ron Clark would want to come see? Do you have some lessons that, he would say, oh, that teacher, I want her in my building? Because if you've ever been there, you know that the dynamics of that are amazing. Okay? And it's not like that every single day, but you've got to have those moments with your kids that are amazing and that have great learning potential and great engagement. You've got to have that. And so if you don't have some lessons that are already like that, that's what you need to work on. Think about, hey, what lessons do I have that are Ron Clark worthy? That if he would walk in this building right now, that would be the one I would want to be teaching.
How many of you who have not been to Ron Clark would want to go? Anybody here hadn't been would want to go?
Well, Ben would be in sensory overload in there. Well, just so we're clear, he's building a plane.
To hang in the art room.
To hang in the art room. So talk about engaging your kiddos.
Wow.
We already saw the train. I mean, you know what I'm saying. We know. Okay, so I want you to find somebody in this room with the same number. I don't think we have numbers, but we might have kings, queens, jacks. It doesn't have to be the same exact suit, but it has to be the exact same, either king, queen, jack, 10, or joker. Okay, I want you to find someone with that same card, and I want you to answer those questions. Okay? Do you have a lesson? Tell your neighbor, do you have a lesson? Because we're going to call them out, and I'm going to write them down, because next year we want to come and see those lessons in your classroom. We want to videotape those lessons, because if you've got something amazing like that, we want to put it out there. We want everybody to get to see it. Okay? Have I said it's not fluff? No, I did not say it's not fluff, but I figured I didn't know if I'd have to say it, but I think a lot of people do think that. They think, oh, that's, that's just all the fun stuff. No. It's not about that. It's all about making your kids want to learn the content that you know so well. Hey, you've got to make them want to do it.
Objective in mind. Now, it's fluff if you're just doing it to be doing it.
That's exactly right.
If you have the objective in mind and what you know, what you want those kids to take from this lesson, and it's matched with curriculum and goals, then you can say that's not fluff. If you're just doing it just because, hey, today I'm going to dress up like a doctor and do this for no reason.
That's right.
That's not.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly right. No, it's about making the kiddos feel good. Okay, so I want you to find that person. Find that person, and we're going to talk about that. All right, let's bring it back in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So, what I want you to do right now, after talking with your buddies, there's some Post-it notes on the table. If you would please write down for me your amazing lesson, unit, whatever it is. I want your name on it and whatever your unit or lesson or whatever it is. Because I want to make sure that we get to come see that, videotape it for other people to see. I think it's important. I think it's great to be able to see other people's work in the building. And it's not always easy for us to get out and go see it, or might not be, where, maybe Ramona's doing something really amazing in her lab and we're not able to get there that day, and we need to see that. So I want to make that available to you guys. I love to be able to cover for you guys and get people in your classroom so you can move and go, but I think there's more than that in this room. There's so many resources in this room to make us all better that I think why not use the resources you have, right? So if you'll write down something, a lesson that you guys are really proud about, a unit that you really love teaching, something that's super exciting in your classroom, write that down, and Stacy's going to come around and just grab those for me, and I'll keep them in there for Ginger and I and Stacy to look at. Okay, so moving on. There's 3 different zones that we're in. I think a lot of us are in the comfort zone. There's the comfort zone. That's where we know what we're doing. We've done the same things for years. We know we're very comfortable. Nothing stretches us. We're not stepping out of the box. We're good. We know our content and we teach it. Okay, that's the comfort zone. But what I'm challenging you guys to do is get in this zone, the creative zone. We want to avoid the panic zone, which is the, oh my God, what am I doing? We want to avoid that. We want to get in the creative zone, okay? That's what we're looking for, moving out of the comfort zone into the creative zone, because creative zone is where engagement begins. That's where your best job performance is going to be, and it's where you're going to be the happiest with your job. Okay? So, we're moving on. And she'll just come around and get those as you can. Several rules of rigor. There's a couple of rules of rigor I wanted to talk about. Rule 1, go for application instead of memorization. Rigor's not how fast you cover the material. It's about how deep you're taking it, okay? So don't get confused that rigor is something that you're going as fast as you can. You're covering all 2nd grade, you got to get on 3rd grade content and then 4th grade content. It's not about how fast you go, okay? So sometimes I think people are confused by that. Engagement, this is what Amy Gloyd was just saying to you. The engagement factor must enhance your content, not distract from it. Okay? It's got to enhance it, not distract. That's exactly what Amy was just saying to you. You guys were listening. That's something that's going to be important. Another rule is that no student is invisible. So there's lots of times when we're playing like games, like Jeopardy. I put Jeopardy up there because it was a huge mistake I used to make when I taught music. Now everybody knows that I'm not Karen Walker of it all. I taught music for 2 years, in case you're a new person here and you did not know that. And yes, I can sing marginally. I can do an okay job with that, and I can kind of teach the basics. I was doing my best, but I was not a Karen Walker. You know what I'm saying? And I did some Jeopardy games to teach music, vocabulary, and content so the kids would know what they needed to know, right? What was my mistake? My mistake was I had 2 different teams that were playing the Jeopardy game, and who was answering? Johnny and Susie. Every single time. What were all the rest of the kids doing? Zippo. Because who was going to answer the question? Johnny and Susie, right? So when you're doing something like this, when you're having a game or whatever, everybody has to be engaged in it. Everybody has a whiteboard. Everybody writes the answer. Everybody has it up. Okay, so don't let anybody sit out to the side and be invisible. Hide in the back, because then they're not engaged, right? They don't think that they have to be, because you're not asking anything of them. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Make sure that everybody's engaged the whole time you're doing something. Okay, so here's the fun of it all. You're going to get to play your video, okay? And just like 5 minutes of it. Just kind of I just want a little taste. I want you to get a little taste of your video, okay? I want you to ask yourself, would you like to be in this classroom day in and day out? Honestly ask yourself. And then, after that first 5 minutes and you watch yourself and you make some notes, I want you to then go back and watch it again without sound. Why without sound? Who can tell me why? Body language, yes. Am I smiling? How many times am I smiling? How many times are my hands up? What am I doing to engage my kids? See what you look like. Really assess that without any sound. And I mean, some of you may find that you didn't smile one single time in that whole 5 minutes. I have what we call the overly expressive face syndrome. I have that. I'm always doing some sort of a face. And I know that everybody isn't that way, but there's got to be a happy medium, because sometimes the overly expressive face gets me in big fat trouble. So you have to kind of balance that. But you got to decide, look at yourself honestly and say, wow, my overly expressive face is distracting. They're probably not engaged because of my overly expressive face. You know what I'm saying? So you really got to take a look at that. So for the next 10 minutes, you got 5 minutes you're watching yourself. Then the next 5, I want you to watch it with no sound. Okay, just in an effort to keep our time kind of on track here, anybody got anything that they really picked up on that's super enlightening about themselves? They don't feel.
You're not as much yourself when you know you're being videoed. I mean, it's almost like I wish it had been an anonymous video.
Oh.
Honestly,
Yeah.
because I was anyway. I was just aware.
You were aware of it.
I was aware.
Yeah.
This has made me stop to think, looking at that lesson, what could I have done to make it a little more creative, a little more engaging? And it could have been something as simple as giving them all a Hershey bar really quick, a little snack Hershey bar, and they've been super engaged in fractions. And it's just changing your mindset. It took me 5 seconds to think, ooh, what could I have done? But I don't look at my lessons and stop and think, how can I make that more creative? What's one thing I could do to make that more engaging, more creative for my kids? And if I stop and think about it for 5 seconds, I could probably come up with something rather quickly.
No doubt. I mean, you already came up with something.
But it's just changing that mind because I don't stop and think that. I just do my lesson, and my goal is the content, making sure they learn what they're supposed to learn. And it's never been, how can I make that a little more creative so that they really, truly want to learn that content.
Right.
And it's not about always being flashy.
Right, exactly right.
Like, I've called kids up to the board to do a problem. Well, what were the other 15 doing?
Right.
3 of them were flipping around. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm having to say, sit still, be still, crisscross. If I'd given them all a whiteboard, then everybody could have been doing something before we're up at the board, and then they could check their answers.
Sure.
I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
For us, it's finding what we're, because y'all are not going to see me dressing up in a costume. You're just not going to see it. I'm not a theater major, and it's not happening. But there are other things I can do that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. Lana?
Creative ways to take your time to take the video on your stuff more often is something that was beneficial for me, because I know there was a month where I had to video every single lesson for a student. And then I went back to this and I'm like, oh my gosh, why was my face looking like this? And looking back and reflecting on how, to build on that, how you can change your lesson and add to it. I think video on yourself more often. And then you see what you're truly doing in your classroom, not necessarily, oh, I'm being videoed, let me flip up things together.
Right. Yeah.
I noticed whenever I call on a student, to answer me, I went and stood beside them for some reason, and they smiled every single time.
Yeah.
I didn't stand and call on them like this. I went and called on them and went and stood next to them. I don't know why I did it, but I did in this lesson. And everyone was smiling.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. PJ.
We're talking. You're almost an entertainer.
Well, yeah.
In today's world, you have to, or you lose them. So you have to think outside the box, and it's hard, especially when you look at that and you go, oh.
And so long ago, it was all about content. Well, now you have to be an acting major to provide, the motivation.
Right. Well, and I think building on what you're saying there, Valerie, if you think about what kids do all day long, every day, they're constantly engaged and they have these, video. They're on YouTube. Their stimulus is crazy anymore. And it's just not like it used to be. And so they're so used to having that stimulus all the time that it makes our jobs even harder, really.
They're gone.
That's exactly right. So when we're not giving them that, that's when we're losing them, And as much as I hate to make our job any worse than it is already, as far as, the amount of content we have to deliver and the amount of time we have to deliver it, now we've got to really try to engage them. But the good news is with this group is you guys are already masters of your content. It's just tweaking a few little things for you guys, really. That's how I feel about this group. I know other places would have a lot more work to do, but it's just little tweaks here and there. It's kind of like Kristen said, it's just I could have taken that fraction lesson. I could have taken those little Hershey bars, and I could have done 1/4. So easy. Break off 1/4. You know, make a half. You know, just so easy. And they would have been like all about it because they've got these little Hershey bars. You know, of course you'd have chocolate fingers afterwards, but that'd be okay. We've got plenty of Clorox wipes. So what we're going to do is we're going to rip off the Band-Aid. That's what we're going to do. We're going to find at least one thing. If you're not one that wants a costume, like Kristen said, I don't want a costume. Okay, don't do a costume. You don't have to do a costume. Do a song. Find, yes, she sings. Well, there you go. See, it doesn't have to be. Everybody doesn't have to do a costume. Everybody doesn't have to write a song. Everybody doesn't. It's not about that. It's finding the thing that you can do that engages your kids. Okay, so just rip off that Band-Aid. So we're going to talk about a toolbox. We're going to have a little toolbox. Mm-hmm. Look who this is.
You need hair. I had a little bit of hair.
Yeah, a little bit of hair. My field cheerleader. Hey, Ginger's this one right here. Lounged up on the car. Yeah. Yeah, up close, up close, yeah. Okay, so cheers, chants, call and response, and props. These are all things that I see a lot of in the classroom, but we can always build our repertoire. We can always have more things to build the motivation. We're starting the day with urgency with our kids. We're helping them to remember the content. Anything that kind of just helps them along. But make sure that you realize when you are doing these call and responses, you don't want to lose the instructional time because you're having a hard time getting them back to you. Okay? That's one thing that you got to teach right out of the gate. You know, if you want to have them do, hocus pocus, and they say everybody focuses, and then they do. Like, they can't do, everybody focus. They can't do that. They've got to really get with you. You know what I mean? And so that's something just to be kind of aware of on your call and responses. And movement. Okay, so why did I put Kinesthetic Hook? Because this book right here is another great book. Teach Like a Pirate. If you have not read this one is also a great book. It's about student engagement too. And they call that, the adding of movement, the kinesthetic hook in this book. And they give you lots and lots of ideas about that. But it's how can you incorporate something different? How can I roll something? Can we do this outside, out of our seats? Can we do it outside? Can we, just anything. Think about how you can do it differently to engage the kids. That's all that is. Giving them some little brain breaks along the way, getting them up. That's what's important here with this. Just think about something. How can you get them out of the seat? How can you get them to do something different? Catch a beach ball to do a math problem, whatever it is. My particular favorite is bringing music into the classroom. That's just because I love music. That's my thing, and that's not everybody's thing. So if it's your thing, then that's great. If it's not, that's great too, because you got another thing. Everybody's got their thing. But I believe music is power, especially when you're talking about instruction and giving content. I can remember learning the books of the Bible when I was 5 years old. And I still sing the song. When I can't find Nehemiah or Ezra in the Bible, I'm singing it because I remember the song. And so I remember every book in order. And that's what kids will remember too, because they attach that music on. So this is called the music and the arts hook. Whether it's art or music, bringing that in. How can you incorporate art? Visual arts, how can you incorporate music? Because it helps kids remember the content, creates an engaging environment, provides that brain break that they need. They can get some, activity. So, music is a great way to do that. If you don't like a costume, you like music.
Can I have things that you can borrow? Inventories on my computer. We're going to have a storage building for that stuff, and the boxes are numbered, so it might take a little getting to get to, and I might need a couple of days notice, but I'd be happy to get you a hat or a wig or whatever if I have it. And
that's great.
I'd be happy to find music too.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little sample from Amy Crow. She came to me one day and she said, my kids really want to write a figurative language song. Can you help me with that? And I said, yeah, I can do that, because I'm not great at it, but I can do it. I can put lyrics to a different song if I like the song, especially if I like the song. So I said, okay, let me play with it a minute. And so I got the No Diggity song out because I really like that, because I'm kind of a Pitch Perfect girl too, and I thought, oh, that'd be kind of a fun one to do. So I just it started snowballing a little bit, and she was like, my kids are so excited about it, they've learned so much. So I want to show you what they did with this song, and it's so cute, y'all. It's so cute. Hang on, I got to plug this in because it's unplugged it because I was tripping all over it. This in.
Grandmaster G and Grandmaster C teaching some figurative language. Yeah.
Hold that one up there. Just watch these kids. They're so cute.
To add to that, Lincoln was in that video, and that exact weekend we opened the pool. That Tim and Lincoln were outside. Tim said something. Lincoln looked at him and said, "Well, at least you're using figurative language." I mean, that was a hyperbole. And Tim looked at me and he said, "What is he talking about?" And he used it exactly right. And he used it with ease. He knew exactly what he was saying. So that's one of the things that he'll remember as a second grader is making that right.
Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we think that that's going to be fluff, and that's not. Do you know how long they will remember that? Probably forever. They will remember those things forever. So, oh.
You just start a book.
I'm glad to help anybody with any of that because I love that. That's one of my things. I like that.
I get to listen to her do it all day.
Yeah. Actually, I will tell you that the whole writing process for that song took less than an hour. You think it's hard, but then once you get into it, it's really not hard. It really is not. I know you don't believe me, but I promise it really is. Another thing, games and competitions. That's another thing you can put in your toolbox. Work harder, not smarter. That's what Nancy Palace used to always say. Work harder, not smarter. Okay, reserve your games for real difficult or boring subject matter. Okay, do something fun with that kind of stuff. Good classroom management is a must, but remember, when you're doing a game, no one waits to take a turn. Everybody's involved. There's no you answered incorrectly, so you sit out to the side while everybody else plays. We can't do that. We've got to keep every kid engaged the whole time. Every kid's answering all the questions. So now to my very favorite part. I know that I'm running short on time. Give me 10 minutes. My very favorite part. room transformations. Okay, so I did this room with the help of Stacy. We sat there, we brainstormed it for what, 5 minutes?
Yes.
A total of 5 minutes. I said, oh, if we're going to do this, wouldn't it be great to set up the room? We need to do something with the room. So we started talking about it. Oh, we'll black out a wall. That's easy. Okay. She's like, we'll get cards. Yes. Kelsey goes, oh, I can paint those little things right there for you and stick those. Yeah, so Kelsey got all that stuck in there in little vases and decorations. Kara said, oh, my husband could do some balloons. It took all of about 10 minutes to plan the whole thing, the whole idea, and the execution was the whole thing in here about 45 minutes. Okay, so it doesn't take a long time. You think it's going to take a long time, and it does not take a long time. It's really, really, really quick.
That's why we have this in here today, because you guys have, you have just as many opportunities during the course of the day, assistants do, to be creative and to think. And so we want you to be thinking and to be helping your teachers if they are going to try to transform a room. We want your ideas as well. The more, the merrier on that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to talk about sharing?
I am. So there's a great website I want you all to take note of. If you don't already know it, www.setthestagetoengage. Some great ideas on room transformations. So here's something that teachers always say. How much is it going to cost me to do this? Cost a bunch, right? Well, our PTO is amazing, okay, as you all know. So they've already given us $2,000 toward rooms transformations. So what we plan to do, because we have this new shed that is coming, we're planning just to keep some of these things, label them, get them in there, and then they're available to anybody that wants to use them. Okay, so that's going to be really great. So every time somebody does a new room transformation, we're going to build. We'll just keep building. If somebody buys an artificial turf, we'll have it for the next person that wants an artificial turf. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to build that. And that's not going to cost us a ton of money. And it does not take a bunch of time, y'all. I know it seems like it takes a bunch of time, and it does not take a bunch of time. So I want to give you some examples of a few that I've seen recently. This is the Dino Day from Miss Starnes' room, and that really wasn't like a total room transformation. It was more of a kids dress up. But the content was there. You know what I'm saying? And that the only downside of that was the chicken bones. I will say that stunk terribly. Live and learn on that a little bit. But the dinosaur costume was just a bonus because Stephanie Bear just happened to have that in her closet.
Just last night, Banks was playing a game on his iPad, of course, and he set his initials as like B-N-P. I was like, what's the P? He said, Banks Nathaniel Paleontologist.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So cute. One that I did actually with Lana last year, I guess it was. Last year, the camping one. That was super easy. We just grabbed a couple of tents, popped them up in the room, got some camping chairs, a fake fire. And, I mean, the kids, they loved it, had a great time. So much fun. That was not long at all. Not long at all. Super fun. You could do something like Ninja Day. When they come in, they just put a little headband on, and they're ninjas for the day. You do ninja math. You can do, just think outside the box. Ways to just keep them engaged. One of the biggest transformations we do is Polar Express Day. And if you have not helped with that, I will tell you that last year, this last time, it was an hour and a half. With the exception of the train. The train is the beast. But no one touches the train but Ben. And occasionally Kevin, But it only took an hour and a half to do everything. Everything. And we didn't have that many people. I mean, it was probably about...
We've gotten much better at it.
Mm-hmm.
The first year when it was just three of us and we were just making stuff up as we went, that took a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now that we have, it's like once you get in the habit of it, you're like, okay, this goes over here, this goes here, it's fast. And so that's what you'll find when you transform your rooms. And like with this stuff, honestly, Pinterest was what I went to. She was like the wild card. What can we do? I was like, ooh, poker night. And you put that in Pinterest and you get a million ideas and you just go from there. So you literally just, like she said, start with your theme, put it in Pinterest, see what pops up.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
But, I mean, they're enthusiastic about what we're doing and what we're teaching, and we utilize them. It just makes it all.
Yes.
A lot of them want to be involved. That's what you all know, I give tours all the time to incoming parents, and all of the ones that I've given now, parent volunteers, can I come in and help? And so if they want to come in and help, so if you give them that opportunity of, hey, I want to flip my room, would you be able to come in? They're going to take you up on that, because that gives them a purpose and something that they know they can help you with, and so they would love to do that.
And they will donate.
Right. Another idea that I don't even know, I don't know if it came from the book or if it came from a website I was looking at, but anyway, they were talking about when you transform a room, when you spend a good bit of time, a couple hours on a room, and you really make it look amazing, there's nothing that says that you can't share that with other people. Let's say, for example, Megan Hall flips her room and it's suddenly a camping theme, and she's blacked out all the walls and it's got tents everywhere. What about the next day Kitty wants to use it? And she goes to her room. And suddenly the kids are engaged in a different way because they're in a whole new environment that they didn't even know. You know what I mean? I've seen that happen before, and kids, I can't even remember who it did. It might have been Alicia. Were you? It was Ethan. Maybe, I don't remember. Somebody did that. Flipped classrooms one day for some reason, and I can't remember what it was. But it was really interesting because the little kids were very excited about going into a new room and learning something new. So I thought that was really cool. So that's kind of getting, send out an email and say, I'm going to flip my room and make it into, a winter wonderland. And we're going to study all things Arctic animals and, all these things. And then somebody else says, oh, great, can I piggyback off that and use it on Thursday? If you use it on Wednesday, I'll use it on Thursday, and somebody else wants to use it on Friday. We can be creative in that way, and then we're not everybody having to do it, but everybody's involved. You know what I'm saying? So that's a really great way to share resources too, and get the kids in a different space. So this was one of my favorite things I found. Enthusiasm is contagious. Go out each day teaching outside the box, make it magical, and start an epidemic. I love that. I think that's great. No, you want a picture of that?
Keep going. Okay.
This is a great resource. Look it up on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's $8. Set the stage to engage. A guide to teaching outside the box. It's one of Hope King's resources. If you look it up on Teachers Pay Teachers, that's a great resource too.
Also, if you have Instagram, follow her, because she puts everything on there. And half the time, Gina and I'll see something on there, ooh, how can we do what she just said? We're like, we want to steal that because we want to steal essentially everything she does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you email out this PowerPoint?
I can certainly try that.
Or
She can probably do it.
So Elaine's going to take this whole presentation with the PowerPoint and the video of Gina and put it together into a YouTube video, and so it's all going to be out there. That way we can share it with all of you. She's going to be a YouTube sensation. I'll get you a PowerPoint too.
Additionally, I do have some resources here with books. With a few of the Wild Card, I've got a couple of people already have them, but the Wild Card book, Teach Like a Pirate book, and this is another great book. Kids deserve it. If you haven't read that, that's a great book. Feel free to use those. I'd love for you to read it, bring it back so we can kind of trade them out as the summer goes. If we can kind of trade those out, I think it would be really, really good.
And I'm pretty sure one of the authors of this is at the Murray CPR Summit. So the speaker on the site, Adam Welcome, he's going to be there.
Okay, I just looked up Hope King. She's there's multiple Hope King things. Elementary shenanigans.
And Set the Stage to Engage is another one of her websites, and you can, I'll help you. I probably already bought them. I buy her stuff, and I don't even know why, because I'm not even teaching the classroom. And I'm buying it, printing it off. I don't know. I'm completely obsessed. No kidding. All right. Anybody else got a question? Anybody have a comment for today? The last thing that I want from everybody is I want you to put on a Post-it note a room transformation that you would like to try. Because I really get excited about them, and so I would love to help. If you guys want to do one, I would love to do it with you. It's just, I know, but write down if you've got Remember, think of the theme first and then make the content fit the theme. So if you can think of a theme that you know your kids would be super excited about, put it down so I can help with that and help get resources for you. And if you can't think of something right now that you want to do, eat lunch with your kids. Find out what they're into the very first of school. And then let me know what you need. Okay? All right.